Hello, everybody. Hello. So, I want to title this real quick. It is something that I should be worried about, or you should be worried about, whoever is relates to this situation I'm talking about. It just seems like no matter how much I try, no matter how much I try to be quote unquote normal and like humanity, everybody has a different personality. But let me tell you something. It seems like no matter who somebody is, I don't care if they're artistic, I don't care if they have Down syndrome, I don't care who they are, they're able to find people that they can seem to relate to and have some kind of a bond with. And it seems like that period, because it was a time I was able to do it a little bit. Okay? It seems like that period has ended for me. That it just don't work. It seems like with human beings, I keep trying very hard, and I talked about it was last year, a year before last, and I talked a great deal about the family that I grew up with, and they, doing a lot of sacrificial type of rituals with me since I was a child, but I wasn't aware of it until my late 30s. Okay, and when became aware of it, now I would see a lot of things going on. I was wondering why I would be seeing a lot of demons and stuff. What I would call demons, the terminology that's used. I wonder why I would have so many problems where it seemed like I was always, something was, what can I say, before I realized what was going on, before I realized what they were doing, because they were a part of a cult. It's a very popular type of cult. I don't want to call a name because I don't know who's in it, and I don't want to offend anybody who might be in it, but it's very popular that a lot of black people are in. A lot of white folks too, but white folks seem to be separated from black folks. It's like they're kind of above black people in this particular cult. But nevertheless, it's very popular, and I just say this: it's what's running the world, okay, especially United States of America. Let me say, and that's all because I don't know whoever listens could be a part of it, and they could get offended. And I don't want to get into all of that. But I found out they were a part of that. But I would always try to realize, I would constantly just have to get rid of demons. I would get demons out of myself. Growing up, when I was in my 30s, I knew how to cast demons out of myself. And I would tell you, I was actually a Christian around that time, but during this time of my life, that type of stuff, the way I believed in Christianity at that time, it won't even work trying to do it like that now. Now, I can say in the name of Jesus now, but I have a totally different understanding of what Jesus is, because Jesus is not an actual person. I've been to Israel. The grave ain't there. Peter ain't there. Paul ain't there. So that's kind of like it's kind of like, I don't want to call it mythical, but because I don't want to throw away the Bible either. I don't want to say the Bible ain't real because they graves ain't. No, that's not what that is. When I really get into my higher mind and I start to interpret especially the New Testament, a lot of it is related to your soul and your spirit, and they're using Jesus Christ as your soul, or they're using Jesus Christ as your higher mind. When I really get into it, I interpret it as, but they're using a particular man as flesh and blood, but it's really talking about you and yourself, and getting to your higher mind and getting more into your spirit self instead of the ego self and your soul. And when Jesus says, "Come to me as a child," that's really your soul. I listened to Bobby Hemmett one time, and I'm gonna get to the point. You know how I do. I listened to Bobby Hemmett one time and talking about really communicating with your soul, and said when you communicate with your soul, you need to approach your soul as if you were a child. This is the same thing that was in the Bible about Jesus Christ. When you come to me as this little child right here. That's the same thing how you have to approach your soul. Even when I took acting classes, it talked about go back to being a 5-year-old. It's almost like you have to get to your true self. You have to become a child. And so I don't throw the Bible away because I see it's esoteric. It's an esoteric meaning. It's not literal. Okay, a lot of that stuff is not literal. And some people really know how to break that down, but see, some people are in different type of groups or cults or whatever, and they break it down the way that occult probably breaks it down, but then another occult will break it down a different way. That's why I say when it's the best to get into your higher mind and see what yourself tells you how to break it down, because all these different people that break it down, but different people in different occults break it down the way they understand it according to their own growth, and it might not mean that for you. So I don't like to get into everybody's interpretation of this stuff, even if they practice all kinds of stuff, different stuff, and even if they have a good understanding of the energy and all what you would call energy in the esoteric world and all that stuff, and metaphysical, which is a new term, metaphysical. It just means beyond physical, which is really beyond ego. But if the physical is a doggone illusion, then why is it called meta? I can't get into the word metaphysical too much, but I get it though. The metaphysical breakdown in the Bible, because it's like, but anyway, get to the point of why you should care, because I spent too long on that. And so I was talking about my family, and the reason why I went into that, because I was talking about how they were doing a lot of spiritual work, and how I was trying to understand why it seemed like I was always kind of miserable, but miserable with spirits, miserable kind of with myself, miserable with my mind. Well, they did a lot of messing with me, and I wasn't aware. And if it's your family and you trust, especially family that you grow up with, and you trust them, especially your mother, and she the main one doing stuff with your head, that's the reason why I was always miserable, and I would seem like I was always dealing with demons, and it would seem like it would be hard for me to get my thoughts together, and my mind was unorganized, the stuff that she was doing. And then I had a brother that was wanting to control me too, wanted to control my mind. So my mind, I could never be myself. I could never find myself. I never knew who I was, because both of them was trying to take over my mind with a lot of magic. Now, people could say it's not real. That's fine. You can't tell nobody your story, though. And I'm not going off on anybody who's listening, but I hate it when somebody else say that because they don't know anybody else's experience. I want them to go to Arab around them the Middle East, around all them jinns. Tell them jinns they magic don't work. I want them to take their butt over there and see what happens if they want to keep saying this stuff ain't real. Take their butt, especially to the Middle East. Because it's a lot. I mean, I see problems, some serious stories about black magic that really come from them, because those jinns, I was listening to a guy on YouTube, New Life, talking about those jinns control the whole fourth dimension. They control the whole mental realm. So anybody who especially want to act like, oh, well, if you don't believe it, it ain't real, you take your butt around them and let's see what's real, because they control that whole mental realm. Okay? Let's see what ain't real. Because they magic gonna be stronger than what my family did. Honestly, I feel sorry for the people in the Middle East that got to deal with that mess that's in bondage to them doggone. I mean, because I've read a lot of, when I was on YouTube reading about people in bondage to that stuff. It was a lot of Muslims, a lot of people in the Middle East really, really talking about black magic put on them. I just really hate it when somebody wants to say it ain't real, and so many people suffer from it. But somebody wants to say it ain't real according to their one belief. They feel like they can speak on everybody else's reality. Okay, so that's my experience with the family I grew up with. Okay, now, I was adopted. So I met this other family when I was 26, right? So I met my birth mother and my half-sister, because we all got different fathers, my half-sister, my half-brothers, I met them all when I was 26 years old. I was still living in Alabama. Okay, I was happy to meet them. I was always thinking about them growing up. It would always bother me that I never knew who they were. But I get my adopted mother wanted me to stay my distance from them. I don't believe she was really trying to protect me, like she felt like they were trouble. I believe that she, at this point, what I know about her, what I realized about her, she's just plain evil. Now, at the time, I felt like she wanted to protect me because I didn't know what I know about her. And by the way, my adopted mother is the one I say, and my brother, who was really my cousin, but I call them my brother because they the only ones I knew my whole life. They're the ones that did all this. They were doing all this magic because they are part of a cult that's very popular. But then I met my birth family, the woman that gave birth to me, and my real blood half sister, and my real blood half brothers. Okay, I met them when I was 26. Try to bond with them seemed a little hard. Now, on the side I grew up in, it was like, okay, there's doctors. You know, she's a doctor. You know, my adoptive mother, she's a doctor. My adoptive father, he's a doctor. And so that's the more professional type of family, right? I'm an occupational therapist. But so what I'm saying is when I get to the point of me not just fitting in with anybody, on this side, they more, let me say, street. I'm kind of in the middle with myself because I can have some street ways to me too, but because of what runs in my blood though, because of my biological parents. I have some little of that to me, but just simply because of what runs in my blood, you know. But I ain't all the way like that. I can't get down with some of the things that goes on in the streets. I can't get down with it because that's really not how I was raised. So they more of that kind of lifestyle. My sister had to raise herself. She, you know, my mother, I met her when I was 26, but I still met her when she was high. I met her in the crack house. She was high. I'm getting somewhere with this. I'm not the kind of person to judge nobody. I'm just telling her, explaining the circumstances of how I met her. This is not a judgment because I don't get into judging folks like that. You know, I don't do that. And so, but she, you know, the sister had an interesting life, when you kind of just grow up in the streets and you raise yourself and you have a child at a very young age and you just kind of raise yourself, you end up kind of bonding with people of that similar lifestyle. But, you know, my sister turned out to make great decisions, though. Her son is going to college. And he's plays a lot of football, okay, and he most likely he will go to be a professional. Her daughter's doing well. She's already got her youngest son in the little leagues and stuff, and she has a good job. So let me tell you, she had an interesting life growing up, but she is doing very well for herself, okay. But what I'm saying is, no matter how much I try, it's clear that she's different from me. It's just clear. It's clear that she's different. It's clear that the mother is different, the biological mother. It's clear that the half brothers are different. He actually is into the drug game, even though he might have a little job on the side. He's into the drug game. They like doing a lot of stuff that they're not comfortable around, especially him. He ain't comfortable around my energy because my energy might convict him, even though I might not do it on. Now, I ain't going to say nothing out my mouth because I told you I don't get into judge nobody. But I don't want to be around him when he doing his thing, though. Which hopefully people need to have enough respect not to do that around you, no way, if they know that's not your life. They need to have enough respect not to do that, no way. But even if he's not into things, my energy continues to convict him even if I'm not trying, and then they don't want to be around me. Okay? This is something that my sister told me, like, well, he don't want to be around you because of the stuff that he into. So even if you ain't judging him and even if you ain't saying nothing, he uncomfortable around you because he still feels convicted. That's what people say, because he's still into their life. But then they turn around and kind of project that feelings on you, but it ain't your fault that you're not into the stuff that they into. So what I'm saying is I got two sides of the coins. I have two worlds that I can't seem to identify with. I grew up in a family of doctors and stuff like that, but you know what? It's not even about what they were. They went into witchcraft and they went into sacrificial type of. So what they were doing with me, the stuff that went on with them, I'm gonna be honest with you, ain't got nothing to do with no particular class of people. They were into doing sacrificial rituals, and that's just the bottom line. That's why I could never get along with them, is because they the ones. I just remember at the age of 4 and 5 how I used to love to read. I used to memorize things. I used to love vocabulary. I used to love the dictionary and learning words. I used to love saving money. I was good with money. That I think I was the best with money than I was with anything. If I would find anything on the floor, a penny or anything, I would put it in a piggy bank and leave it in the piggy bank. I would save. I would make straight A's. It just seemed I would love to read, and I would clean. I couldn't stand to see nothing on the floor. If I saw a piece of paper, I would pick it up and throw it in the trash. Now, in the way I kind of do that now, I don't like to see, unless I'm in a situation where I can't help but to put bags on the floor where it's nothing, no table to put it on. I hate to see loose paper on the floor now, so I've gotten back to myself in that way. But I remember when I was 5, I used to do all those things. And when I turned 7, I hated doing those things. So something happened to turn me upside down. When I would talk, I thought it was autism. I thought it was some kind of something going on with that. But when I would talk to a lot of parents who had children with autism, they just kind of disagreed with me. I've been in autistic groups, Asperger's group. They were like, you don't have that, and they didn't want to go into detail. And these were a lot of white people because I couldn't find black people don't really come forth with whatever problems they have, especially when it comes to the mental. They don't come forth with that. They'll talk about diabetes in a second, but when it comes to that mental, they don't really deal with that at all. And that's what the problem is with the black community. But it's more than that with the black community. Something is messing with their head, and that's the government. The government, they really govern your minds, okay? They really messing with your head. And I've already seen that in the vision. So it's more than black people not wanting to address, because Latino people don't like to do that either. They real spiritual. They Christians. They talk about Jesus, God all the time too. They the same as black folks when it come to that. So that's why I say it ain't the fragment and the problems with black people is literally something is messing with their heads. Something is literally messing, and I know exactly what it is. It's what people, which is not the real name, but it's what people would call archons. They're heavily, they own everybody, but they heavily on that black population. They heavy on the black population. And those archons get in your head. Now, that ain't the real name. I remember somebody said the archons ain't real. That's not the real name, but that's the name that's popular. Okay, so I know exactly what's going on with black folks. And they don't like to address that, because black people like to be religious. No matter what they do, they like to be religious about everything. But I got off the point, and I do this because I just like to talk. Either way it goes, even I've been in California. I've been in Cleveland for 4 years. I've been in California for 12 years, Los Angeles 10 years, and other parts of Southern California for 2 years. And when I say it just seems like I have nothing in common with humanity, I have nothing in common with, besides the fact that I eat the way they do, I shit the way they do, I pee the way they do, I appear to be human the way they do. That seems like the only thing we have, and I'm held to the same physical rule set that they are. But when it comes to relating anymore to people, I can't do it no more. I try hard. I don't care if they white. I don't care if they Asian. Asian is, that could include, Southeast Asia. All this Asia is a continent. I realize that. When people say Asian, they're thinking about a particular phenotype, but Asia it's a whole continent, includes the same thing with Africa, But it doesn't. I've been to India. It does not matter. It does not matter, because this is beyond black for me. You can say, okay, it seems like I can't bond with black folks, but you know how many different people there are in the world, especially when you travel the world. There's some, if you still can bond with a human being, black ain't the end all be all. If you feel like you can't bond with black people, especially in the United States of America, it is so many people in the world. It's still billions of people left to bond with. It just seems like, because I done traveled, it ain't for me no more. It gets to a point where, and this is why I titled it, I should be concerned. Yes, I should not necessarily worry about it, but it should be something that crossed my mind. I don't want anybody, I want to talk to people and say, well, you just stop worrying about, no. Because now this getting to a point where being a human being is not for me anymore. If I cannot relate to people anymore, being a human being is not for me. And it should be something I'm concerned about. You should not be lonely your whole life. You should not be. Okay, I done did Lyft. I'm an occupational therapist. I done did everything. I don't talk to people. I can have long conversations with people. But when it comes to a real type of relationship, it seems like it's not working out. And that is something to be concerned with. I don't care what nobody say. As long as you're a human being, why shouldn't you have the human relationship? It seems like it's going out the door. So I'm at a point where I got a choice. It's no middle for me. Like some people are okay. Oh, well, I don't have friends either. But it seems like it's okay to just survive. Like you can do well with your finances, do whatever you want to do. And, it's okay. It seems like I'm not having the option to be in the middle, which is what I was doing 2 years ago, making my money, still just travel. Okay, I done got friends, but I can still enjoy myself. I was doing that a couple of years ago. It seems like I ran out of that option. You know how they get rid of the middle class? You know how they got rid of the middle class? It's like I can't be in the middle no more. You either have to choose to just leave this world and go to what you would call a hell, which I don't want to do that. Now, hell is a part of the mind because it's all an illusion. The astral world is on the illusion. So it's whatever part of your mind, or you could be going to somebody else's version of hell too, because even though it's all an illusion, either you're going to go to your version of what you think in your mind, or somebody else going to put you in their version. I've dealt with that already. I've had that experience. Okay. I definitely had that hell experience. Haven't really had the heavenly illusion, because that's an illusion too, because it's still a part of your mind. Still an illusion, but still working on that heavenly one. But because I've dealt with so much dark magic from people, it's hard to get to that heavenly part of the illusion. Dark people that use dark magic and very controlling too, that want you to stay in hell, and they don't want you to ascend out of that situation. And so a big part of my life, especially when I realized what was going on, is really reversing and dealing with a lot of black magic from mostly black folks, because mostly black folks. I won't put the whole onus on them, because when I get to the nitty gritty behind the scenes, when I really reach up higher, it's the white people that controls them. And I'm talking about in the ego world. Okay, that's hard to explain because I see things as egos. I don't see things as people. That's hard. That's kind of difficult. But so I either got two choices. Either I rise up out of being a human, or you sink low to a demon. That seems to be the only choices I have at this point. I can't be in the middle, like what you would call middle class. But in this case, I ain't talking about money. I'm talking about I don't feel like I'm going to be allowed to live the life of, okay, I ain't got friends. Okay, I can't relate to nobody. Okay, but I can still enjoy myself and make good money and go on vacations and just enjoy myself. It's like I'm running out of the option to be a human. Like, no, it's time to rise, because I done been through this so many times. Living a life as a human, coming back, whatever we want to call incarnation, whatever people want to call it. I've done this so many times. When you've done this, and that's why people need to start speaking on somebody else's reality. Because a lot of folks, even when they're black, it's a lot of black people that are younger souls than I am. I'm a much older soul than a lot of black people. Definitely white people. Okay, definitely white people. White people, I don't even know if they can grasp where I come from when I say this, because they are like the youngest group. And all the people in between, I can't explain this to them, because they don't get this. They're not there. So folks need to stop speaking on somebody else's reality, because they don't know what that soul is doing with them. But anyway, I feel like my soul has done this so many times. I feel like I might have been incarnated as a human probably over 100 times already. My soul is ready. Either you're going to be a demon, either you're going to be in the lowest realm, or you're going to rise up out of being a human being. You're going to rise up out of the illusion. My soul, I feel like, in the Great Mother, I'm going to call it the Great Mother, it don't want me to play the middle no more. It does not want me to play the middle anymore. And this is why I feel like I cannot sing. I can try so hard. I can call people. Like recently, I want to just talk about a situation real quick. Recently, I was talking to, I was trying to call my sister and stuff and my mother. I still talk to my biological mother, but I can tell that it seems like I have to try to mesh. I have to try to mesh with them. I don't know why you got to have a personality similar to theirs. You never have to have let me tell you something. As long as we're kosher, as long as we respect each other, you don't have to have my personality. I hate to be around people where you have to have their similar personality to bond with them, because that ain't how it is with me. As long as we have a respect for each other, you don't need my personality. I don't understand. I feel like that is an unevolved soul where you have to have their personality. I'm not like that. I feel like if you respect me, I respect you. We all right. I don't care how goofy you are. I don't care what you are. As long as we respect each other, we all right. But I do encounter that the most when it comes to a lot of black people. It's almost like they're the most unevolved. Like they're more unevolved than white folks at this point. I hate to say that, because black people can be the most judgmental when you're not like them. And I can never be like, I never had that swag that black folks have, that they claim to have. When black folks want to have a lot of swag, they're not themselves. Because when you really yourself, it ain't all about the swag. But what I noticed with black folks, you can't be yourself. You cannot be authentic. That has always, whether it's a black woman or a black man, I ain't discriminating. I'm not discriminating. Whether it's a black woman, black man. I would think in your 40s you would come out of that. I'm in my 40s. So it seems like I would meet people that I ain't got to be. I can be myself. When I'm myself around black folks, sometimes they probably need to. They're in their 90s. Because when people get in their 90s, it's like, okay, whatever. I ain't trying to press nobody. But no, black people tend to be. To me, the energy is very negative. And they're very judgmental. But the energy is very negative, I feel like, when it comes to black people. And I ain't trying to be funny. And this is not a judgment. This is what I sense when I get around them. It's almost like, okay, I could be myself when I talk to that Asian girl. But when I talk to black folks, I need to be something completely different. Whether the black person I'm talking to is in their 50s or whether the black person I'm talking to is in their 30s or 40s, I cannot be myself around them because they're going to judge very hard. It's almost like, even though I can't bond with no human, it seems like the bonding ain't working no more. But I can still be more myself around a white person or Asian. It's like they're less judgmental when it comes to me being myself than black people. They will judge you very hard for you being yourself. So I can see why I do see some black folks to say, well, I just can't seem to relate to black folks. You cannot relate to black folks because you can't be yourself. You cannot be authentic with black people, period. Because black people are not authentic. They're just not authentic. When it comes to a mental illness or whatever is going on, they don't want to claim that. They want to say Jesus and God. But guess what? White people stay in therapy. How about that? And they run the world, but they stay their behinds in some therapy. I tell you that. When I was in these groups, when I thought I had autism, but I talked to these folks and they said, no, it ain't that. It ain't that. Okay, because when I got to some spiritualists, they said, no, your family did some spiritual work on you, darling. But when I was in those autistic groups, those white folks, they stay in therapy and they currently run the world. So how about them apples? Get in some therapy because maybe you can run the world too. Okay, but I'm not big in therapy because you do kind of spend a lot of money and sometimes they don't get you nowhere. So I'm not really big into therapy, but I will say that black people, when it comes to the mental, they don't like to address it. And that's why they ain't running nothing but they shoes over. Okay. But when it comes to the mental, it's very spiritual when it comes to black people because it is a higher entity. It that's messing with their head. There is a demonic stronghold that's over black people, and it's a real entity that is over black people that is controlling their mind and messing with their head and got them to where they are. Absolutely. I know it. Okay. And they need to work. So what black folks, more than getting into the therapy where you're going to waste your money, because you will waste your money, it needs to be spiritual, but it needs to still deal with the mental, but it needs to be somebody that's deep into esoteric work though, because what this is spiritual that's happening. Okay. But yeah, to get to the main point of what I was saying, because yes, I was all over the place, and that's why I don't want to make this a professional channel, because when I express myself, this is how it goes. I don't want to be all structured because the soul ain't necessarily structured. The soul is not necessarily structured like that. It's not. So I'm not going to do that. I might be all over the place, but I'm expressing myself, and that's my point. That's the purpose of me, this channel. It's not to try to educate nobody. Now, somebody might relate to what I'm saying, but I'm not trying to school nobody, period, at all. No, this is a channel where I express myself. Okay. And but yeah, I'm gonna end this. I'm gonna go because it's time for me to go on to bed. Even though I'm in California Pacific time, but ain't but 8. But still, I gotta get up so early that it's my bedtime. But yeah. Like I said, I'm trying too hard. Like I called my sister so many times. I've been in a situation because I just came out the hospital not too long ago, and that's another reason why I probably spent a week without clicking online, because I was actually in the hospital. And so they helped me. I'm glad they did that. But I always had this problem with being able to talk to my sister on the phone. Always. I've always had this problem with being able to just have a relationship with my sister while I call on the phone. I call her several times. She never calls me. She does not call me back. She might call me back once after I done called her 10 times. This is something that's been going on since I first met her. She will talk to me if I'm in Montgomery, Alabama, or something like that, and I'm in town. Then she would probably answer the phone because I'm in town and we can hang out. But while I'm out of town, I can't get her on the phone. I just cannot to talk. I cannot do it. And if I've already tried to bring this to her attention once before. She projected, and act like I was crazy, like I was just making things up. And she was like, well, I don't feel like talking on the phone. But yeah, I mean, then you'll turn around and say, I'm not talking to you. But see, I'm done with folks holding me responsible because nobody wants to answer my phone calls. Okay. And what I'm saying is that this is not just a problem on that side of the family. And on the other side of the family that I grew up with, they were doing all kinds of, they didn't accept me either. But even with them, besides these two situations, I've tried to bond, and I've tried to, I lived in California. I ain't got no family in California, so it's been plenty of people. I can have a good conversation with them, but it just seems like that relationship, it just can't form. Okay? And so, and I've been in India, but I mean, most of them speak Tamil. Okay, I speak English, so I wouldn't even know, when you around people that most of them speak a different language, that's difficult. Okay, but still, what I'm saying is that I done lived, I'm over 40 years. I'm approaching my mid 40s. I done already traveled. I can't say I traveled the world, but I've been in different places, especially within the United States of America. I done lived in 3 states, So now this is beyond just not getting along, not being able to bond with black folks. Okay, but most of the time I live in places where there's not really any black folks anyway. Okay, so it's beyond that. If that's the issue, I most of the time I'm in places where I barely see black folks. So okay, so I can move beyond that. Okay, and then the family thing. Well, I'm in California, been living here for 12 years. Okay, and then I lived in India for 3 months. But then, like I said, they speak Tamil. It's really hard when you don't speak their language, you know. But that was South India where they speak Tamil. Let me make that clear, because in North India there's more Hindi, something like that. Like Hindi, it's a different language, but they have like over 100 different languages in India anyway. So, but in South India, a big one is really Tamil, Tamil. Okay, when I was in South India, okay, a big language was Tamil. So what I'm saying is, it ain't working. It's not working, and it's getting to a point where it's almost like my soul, my higher mind, and Great Mother. Let me say, Great Mother is making it's like I'm being in a situation where I have to choose. Either you're gonna be a demon or you're gonna rise up out of being a human. But you can't be a human no more. It's no more incarnations. You need to rise up out of being a human or you're gonna be a demon. Either one. Because I incarnated into this human experience so many times to the point where I can't. It's no longer an option. The human experience is no longer an option anymore. Either I'm gonna rise up out of being a human, or you're just going to be a demon. And that's the end of what I got to say. And that's why I say, yes, I should be concerned. Yes, I should be concerned. I should be very concerned that it's hard to form a relationship. And the reason why it's concerned is because it's time to make a choice. And I don't think being a human is a choice for me anymore. It's time for me to rise up. It seems like things are not gonna go well if I don't make a choice. Either you're gonna be a demon or you're gonna rise up out of it. When I say a demon, I'm talking about completely de-evolved from being a human being. There are some demons, not all, but there are some demons that were once human beings, and they de-evolved so bad that they are a demon. They look like you couldn't tell that they once were a human like what you used to seeing. Okay. And that is what I'm faced with. It's no more middle. It's no more middle. It's no more okay. There's no more middle. There's no more humanity. It's time for me to raise up out of it. It's time for me to raise up out of it. I mean, you see people on YouTube that seem to be so conscious and aware, and I'm talking about whether black or white, but when I look at a lot of white folks, I'm gonna tell you something. When I listen to certain meditation videos, a lot of them are created by white folks. Certain subliminals are created by white folks, and I'm gonna tell you they have helped me a great deal. So I'm not gonna criticize them at all, even though they're the youngest group. But they understand. Most of them that's on YouTube seem to understand that we're either in a holographic world or we're either in a virtual reality. When I listen to a lot of black folks, they still think we're physical. Okay. But I learned from them too. But the most I've learned from, the biggest person I learned, I have to say, is probably Bobby Hemmett. He's the closest to understanding that we ain't physical. Well, he already said the physical reality is an illusion. I mean, he knows it. But now he would talk about the holographic world a lot. And a lot of people believed in the holographic world back then. But no, at this point, we're from what I have experienced, it's a virtual reality now. It's a virtual reality. But yeah, that's it. And I think I'm being forced to raise my consciousness because I think because of I'm gonna be honest with you, it's a lot of stuff happening with this COVID. They're going to close, if they haven't closed the time loop already, they're going to close the time loop, and they're going to pull your consciousness further behind in time. Like, we're not in real time. We are, I don't want to say we, because I've had to work on myself so much because of a lot of things I've been through that I don't know if I can say we anymore. But a lot of people are getting further and further behind in the time loop, and their consciousness keep getting further and further taken back behind. And there people are not in real time like they think they are. They're not in real time like they think they are. When all this drama that could happen online, you looking at something that's probably been played like several times already, but because of the time loop, people don't know that they done seen it already. You know what I'm saying? And so their conscious mind they're getting taken further into hell realms because they don't understand they're not really in real time like that. They're not catching up to the real time. I told you in real time, I kept seeing where I was in some kind of grocery store. And I like, why am I always in this grocery store? And it's like, that is the real time right there. That is what's going on. And what I need to do is work on my consciousness and work on that, because like I said, I don't believe in physical, and I don't believe in it because it is an illusion, just based on I'm not the only one that says that, but this is why meditation is good, because you get to kind of see what's really going on with you. Meditation is good to really see what's really happening with you for real. Okay. And what's going on with your consciousness. So anyway, that'll be it. That'll be it. I just kind of went in different directions a little bit. Kind of rambled. Yeah, that's all I want to say. And some people might be faced with that decision too. Like, either you're going to rise up or you're just going to de-evolve. But you can no longer be in the middle. It's almost like you got to choose a side now. Either you're going to go low or you're going to go high. But there's no more middle. There's no more of an option for the middle. And that's where I am. I strongly believe. And that is it. All right.